Hi, this is Christian Chase with Chase Real Estate and ChaseForeclosure.com. Hey, there's some news out there from the National Association of Realtors, or NAR, about the new settlement that's come out. And I want to let all of our investors know exactly what the lay of the land is. And on TV, as usual, there's a lot of news that's out there and a lot of ideas and where things are going. And I want to just break it down. This is super simple. And I'm going to explain how the settlement affects real estate investors. The one change that's happened, and it's probably the biggest change for realtors, is that on the multiple listing service, when you list your home for sale, there is a little line or a box where essentially the listing broker can let the buyer's agent know that the commission that is being paid out on that property. So 2.5%, let's say. I list a home, I'm listing your investment property. You've got it all fixed up, cleaned up. I put it on the MLS. There is currently a field that says cooperating compensation, and we'll put in there 2.5% commission on the MLS. Now, that little field, as of July, will likely go away. It will not say anything there. There won't be any communication about compensation for a buyer's agent. So a buyer's driving around in their car, they're showing buyers' properties. They technically, right then and there, don't know what they're going to get paid. Now, they've made it very, very clear that offers of compensation for commission, so I can't put it on the MLS, but I can put it on my website. I could have a link to my where all of my properties are at, and this is what the seller is willing to pay out the buyer's agent that brings a buyer through. So really kind of a nothing muffin is what this is, as it's just not going to be on the multiple listing service. The agent may have to go to the individual broker's page with all of their properties and see what the seller is willing to pay out as a commission. And why we're going to continue to pay out commissions, and I think 99.9% of sellers are going to continue to do what we do, is offer compensation to the buyer's broker. And here's the reason why. And if the buyer had to pay commission to the buyer's agent, the buyer would literally have to write a check to that agent to go ahead and get that agent paid. And why that's a problem is the buyer can't easily finance that into their loan. So they have to literally write a check. And if you're thinking about the properties that our investors buy, fix, and sell, we're on the lower end of the spectrum with real estate. Now the buyers are scraping together to come up with a down payment. Now they got to scrape up and come together to pay out a real estate agent. I don't care if the real estate agent was charging $500 or $1,000. It's going to be a tough thing to have happen. And Fannie, Freddie, FHA, VA, they're not going to allow the buyer to finance the realtor commission, the buyer's agent commission in there. So the sellers are going to 100% still be paying out realtor commissions. Nothing is going to change other than the field on the MLS, so the realtor is seeing everything. The little field that's on there that says cooperating compensation, where we would be able to put in the commission of 2.5%, will no longer be there. But it's going to be on our websites. It's going to be in a million other places. I can think of 1,000 other places where it'll be placed, and in our showing service. There's a million different places we can place that. So the news coming together that home prices could potentially come down or it'll go up, it'll mean buyers are getting better deals on properties or sellers are getting more. I really think in the short term, no, this is going to have no impact whatsoever. I'm totally up for change. I mean, this with me in real estate, 28 years of doing this, we can adapt to any scenario or version that's out there. And I think there's a lot of room real estate can improve. I'm a big believer in where real estate goes more the Uber direction, where you're driving around, and I was just out in Palm Springs and watching some tennis with my wife, and you're driving around, you're like, hey, I'd like to go see a property, and you're like, oh, I gotta get this all scheduled, and it's gonna take a day because that agent is not around. I would love to see like an Uberized version of real estate. I mean, not just for Palm Springs, but for Chicagoland area as well. And I think that's where we're going to eventually become, is more Uberized. And I'm 100% all for it. I think it's a great model for real estate. It's just been a bit more difficult to tackle, but really for investors right now, no need to worry about that. The second thing I just want to talk about is whenever you are, as an investor, going to be working with a buyer's agent. So you contact Christy here at our office or one of our brokers, and you want to, you're a buyer and you want to buy a property. They are going to require that we have a document signed, a buyer agency agreement signed. Now, this is where it could get, I think this is where it gets a little bit bad for everyone involved if you don't pay close attention. A buyer agency agreement could lock a buyer in. So you as an investor, if you sign a buyer agency agreement, you got to read this close, very, very close. Are you locked into working with that agent? So let's say I'm in Palm Springs, I'm driving around, and the agent says, hey, I want to have you sign a buyer's agency agreement. And I have to sign it because now you want to go show me properties. Did I just sign something that locked me into working with this agent? What if that agent's a goofball and they don't know what they're doing? So I have to sign something right away with a buyer's agent that they can represent me to go show me properties. And and they have in the clause in there that says I need to work with them for 6 months. And if I find a property, I have to pay them. You know, that's the part I never really liked about this, is like, that's a weak agent is what that is. That's somebody that's weak that has to have something like that signed. Now, we're going to all be required to have a buyer's agency agreement. I think they should be like open, you know, where it's, say, if you want to cancel it, once we're under contract on the property, okay, you can't cancel it, but once we've identified a house, I'm your buyer, and if you don't like me, you can cancel me. I mean, that's essentially how it should be. That's like a free open market. These agents are going to come in, and so that's why I say, as an investor, if you're buying properties and you're getting them from different sources, it doesn't matter where you get a piece of real estate from. You want to make sure, if you're going to sign a buyer's agency agreement, that you have the ability to go buy with other different people properties, and me included. You know, I mean, like, if you don't like me, I don't want you working with me and feeling like you're locked into some sort of contract. So those contracts can be very loose. So all you need to do is look at the buyer agency agreement. If you don't like something in there, line out. I am not locked into working with you, Christian, for, you know, the next 6 months. We're married. No, you don't have to do that. And so those are things that are going to come about. And that's where I think investors got to be very, very careful, because are you locking yourself into working with that agent? So our buyer's agency agreement that we'll have will be very, very loose. But again, I mean, it's once you go under contract, yes, I'm getting paid a commission. It'll be the seller is paying us the commission on the transaction. If the seller was not to pay the commission on the transaction, it would say you would owe us a commission of X number of dollars to be paid. And so that's essentially what the buyer's agency agreement would be. The sellers are going to pay the commissions. Maybe on some of the bank stuff, I could see them saying, well, maybe, hey, we're not going to offer any compensation on the property. And we just got to be upfront. Hey, you know what? In this case, this bank, they're not offering compensation. You know, the commission is 2.5% or 3% commission on this particular type of sale. And so there's going to be those types of things and that kind of conversation. So there's nothing bad that came out of it. I don't think it's going to change our real estate market. So that all that mumbo jumbo on TV is just, you know, that's way out there. That's the you know, fake news, essentially, is what it is. I think it's a great conversation starter, but, you know, it's ended right here and there. We're going to be able to conduct business as usual. I don't see investors being affected by this in any major way. If you have any questions about the NAR settlement, don't hesitate to give me a call. There isn't a lot that's going to change. I really kind of highlighted the 2 points. So it's reaching out, asking the questions, and always ask what kind of commission. Hey, Christian, you know, Christy, you know, any broker, what are you making on this deal? I mean, I think that's a great conversation. There's nothing wrong with that. I go into a car dealer. I'm like, how much are you making on this? I want to know. And I'm like, I don't care. I want them to get paid. I have no problem with that whatsoever. And but I want to know how much they're getting paid on this thing. Is it $20,000 or is it $3,000? I mean, that's something that's important to me. And so I think that's what will come out of it. So just remember, be careful about any buyer agency agreements that you may come across with agents sending that stuff over. Read the fine print. If you've got one and you need me to look at it, let me look at it and go, this is probably something I wouldn't sign or I would sign. And we're going to come up with one that is going to be very flexible for investors. So you have the ability to do what you want to do. It's free and open. I want it to be that way. Realtor commissions, it's all going to pretty much stay the same exact way as it is. For realtors, they just got to go to one more place to find out what the real estate commission is being paid out on the transaction. So that literally sums up all the discussion that's happened. I mean, there's some other things that are more involved with NAR and the settlement and all that stuff, but it doesn't pertain to our real estate investors, and that's what I wanted to get across. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, as always, don't hesitate to reach out to me. You know how to find me. I'm here pretty much 7 days a week. Thanks.